Hey, what is going on? We are live, and today we got a lot of topics to cover on this Impact Wrestling newscast. And this is the first video powered by Wrestling with Wrestling. Hey, what's going on? So, we got on screen one of the biggest news in Impact in the year 2018. This is huge. This is very important. Why? Because it is happening at WrestleCon. And if they stole the show during this event, that will give Impact Wrestling a lot of leverage with the roots fans, with those forgotten men and women who used to watch the promotion. So the news comes to us from the horse's mouth. ImpactWrestling.com, and they announce Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground at WrestleCon. This is important. The stars that we have announced so far is Impact World Champion Austin Aries. You have Alberto, El Patron, Eli Drake, Moose, Eddie Edwards, the Latin American Exchange, LAX, OBE with Sami Callihan, Mr. Baseball Bat, the terror. This guy is a terror with the baseball bat. If you see him, run for your life. This guy is dangerous. Trevor Lee. We also will see the Machine Brian Cage and the Knockouts. That includes Ali, Rosemary, and Taya Valkyrie. They will also during that show will have none other than Big Papa Pump Scott Steiner in the house, live and uncensored. That is gonna be fun to watch. As for Lucha Underground stars, they will have Pentagon Dark, Pentagon Junior, King Cuerno, Phoenix, Drago, Aerostar, Kirill Shot, Matanza, the Mac, Jack Evans, and many others. As for the wrestlers that they have this time, I am more than anything interested in watching Austin Aries versus Pentagon Jr. I think that is a match that could move the needle, especially because they are both champions and they're not tall guys. Because how can I explain this idea? You know, this guy, Pentagon Dark, Pentagon Jr., is Mr. Lucha Underground. He's the most over guy on the promotion. However, you cannot put him, in the ring with someone, let's say, like Moose, because you will expose the guy. You will not help him a lot. That is not the idea. You want both guy to benefit for what is happening, and things like that. You don't want no promotion to get ahead of the other. Next, we got the baseball bat shot heard around the world. Last night, during the latest episode of Impact Wrestling, there was a spot which Sami Callihan by mistake ended up hitting Eddie Edwards with a baseball bat on the side of the eye. And this whole thing even got mainstream coverage. TMZ.com decided to cover what happened last night, and they even did an interview on TNC Sports. So, by the way, you should check out that, you know, interview and see it for yourself. Don't let other people let you know what happened with that. So you hear it straight out of the horse's mouth. However, this is big for Impact Wrestling. It had been quite a while ever since they, got mainstream exposure. However, we already know that the mainstream media is losing power, but there's a lot of people who still pay attention to that sort of thing. The last time they receive, that type of coverage was during the whole broken universe, and because Matt Hardy is good friends with some of the people inside of the wrestling media, especially with the Huffington Post. He got people in high places. That was, his agenda. Outside of that, no, they don't usually cover Impact Wrestling. Also, to make a interesting twist, Sami Callihan decided, to keep the kayfabe alive by shooting a little video, you know, addressing his critics and stuff like that, because he's receiving a lot of heat for hitting Eddie Edwards, obviously in the head with a baseball bat. Let's talk about the latest piece of news that I have here on tonight. This is the latest and greatest, the latest on Alberto El Patron status with Impact Wrestling. And this comes to us from, the page that I am putting over tonight, Wrestling with Wrestling. This should be your destination for wrestling news. There's a lot of people involved in this. Make sure to bookmark this page, and hear from the people who are covering the four corners of the ring on this website. And this comes to us from, I think, Ghetto 187. He was the one who wrote this article. According to several sources, there is a world that Alberto El Patron contract with Impact Wrestling expire sometime in April. Currently, the two sides are trying to negotiate things because, Alberto El Patron is one of the biggest name in Impact Wrestling. And this is a thought that I have not addressed so far. However, everybody who have been a subscriber of my channel know that I am from Puerto Rico, and I am a member, of the National Guard. And we received a hurricane not that long ago in September. And obviously I was working, fixing this whole mess that happened. The word got out that I was like the wrestling guru around there, and people starting to talk about professional wrestling to me. I don't usually bring that topic to the public. I am very quiet when it comes down to that topic of professional wrestling. The people that they mention when mainstream people talk about wrestling were old timers like Carlos Colon, Abdullah the Butcher, Chiqui Star, people like that. People from the later generation, Sabio Vega, Rey Gonzalez, Ricky Banderas, you might know him as Mil Muertes. But out of the foreign, right? The people from the outside, the first name after Rey Mysterio was Alberto El Patron. And, obviously these are the moments that you listen as, someone that doesn't pay much attention. I just want to hear what goes into the mind of your regular average Joe that might turn into a wrestling show from time to time. And they were putting over big time Alberto Patron, especially his heel character. He ended up doing a tour around here against Ray Gonzalez. So he got a lot of mainstream, attention in the island because of that. So keep that in mind. There's people who might not like Alberto Patron, and I was not the biggest fan when he came into Impact Wrestling. However, after hearing how popular he was inside the mainstream circle of the Latin fan, I was like, hey, that is important. That is someone that you want to have on your roster. And number two, after the accusations that he got, the whole TMZ deal with, they accusing him that he was hitting Paige like on an airport. That was, a pivotal moment. This is, this is, how can I put it? Let me put the webcam, right? This is like, glasses off. Let me take my glasses off. If you're a long time subscriber, you know that I used to cover a lot of the news, when I started. And after El Patron incident with Paige, I stopped, covering wrestling news. Why? I saw myself in him. If you thought about, the accusation for 2 seconds, you knew it was bullshit. Why? You know, after September 11, after that, that day, the security on the airports is top notch, and there is a lot of cameras right there. They claim that someone who is on television, Alberto Patron, for how long? Five years on mainstream television every single either Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. Someone who doesn't look average, who doesn't dress average, is gonna hit, this, you know, female in front of God and country, and no one is gonna tell him anything. Like, there's no video, there's only like, an audio of, some random cell phone, having the, interchange between them that doesn't pass the smell test. However, I put myself on his shoes. Imagine if you were the one being accused of something nasty like domestic violence. And not only that, it is like on public, like you don't give a hell, and you're gonna hit a woman, in front of God and country. I didn't buy it, and I decided, hey, I rather stay away from that. Why? Because I don't want to contribute to that. I rather do not be part of that. However, there is, another side of me, and everyone who is a content creator, may have this battle inside them, and the battle goes like this: if you, as someone who's fair and square to Impact Wrestling, who doesn't have a hidden agenda, who doesn't use propaganda against them, if you are not the one covering the news, somebody else is gonna do it for you. And usually they are bad actors, people with agendas, people who are there only to contribute darkness into the promotion of Impact Wrestling, spreading malicious rumors. People who, when they are faced with with a history, with a story, they put their negative glasses and they interpret that news into the most dishonest and most uncharitable explanation out there. And you have the choice as a content creator. Would you rather, contribute to the whole dirt shit world, or would you let the bad actors be the only voice on that world? That's how I ended up gaining a lot of respect for Alberto Patron. Now, after Moose, he's my second guy on Impact Wrestling after, you know, seeing the type of attack he got that ended up being bullshit. And this man did nothing, absolutely did nothing wrong. Alberto Patron did nothing wrong. He was an innocent man. That he gained my respect after receiving that kind of abuse systematically, and he stood strong and tall, and he ended up being declared an innocent man, and he earned my respect with that. So I guess let me check out the chat room for a second. I got people. Hey, we got the big boss. Let me put this on screen. We got Andrew Corbeil. Say, hey bro, Pentagon is one of my top 10 favorites in the world right now. Probably closer to top 5. And it was sweet seeing you, use the website. Oh, thanks, man. That is the way we roll. Yeah, we roll. That's how we roll. I'm obviously gonna contribute as time goes on many different things to the wrestling with wrestling brand. So as of closing, I want those are my closing statements, right? Number one, Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground. That is a win. In my book, mainstream coverage of Eddie Edwards versus Sami Callihan is another win. In my book, the ratings, by the way, the ratings did quite good. And if I'm not mistaken, if my memory doesn't betray you, these are the highest rated episode of all 2018. So that is another win. 3 Ws. And now we got obviously Alberto Patron and his negotiation with Impact Wrestling. We also have the rumor that Eli Drake might be leaving. To be honest, not sure about that. I don't know if he wants to be the next, Mike Canales. He wants to be the next Mike Canales. He can go ahead and do it. But it is not a wise decision. Those are, Impact was the people who put the first major push on TV and, gave you the bell, let you run more than 6 months. What else can you ask for? And there is a lot of matches we need to see with Eli Drake on Impact Wrestling. As for Impact Wrestling versus Lucha Underground, the match that I want to see is Austin Aries versus Pentagon Jr. The second match that I want to see is Moose versus Matanza. And the third one would be, what, an old match, being brought into new life. The Monster Abyss versus Mil Muertos, a rematch that happened, multiple promotions, but now it could happen under the umbrella of Impact Wrestling and Lucha Underground. That could be something. I guess that is it for me. Thank you a lot for listening. And as always, make sure that you are subscribed and check out the links below that I'm gonna be including with this article on Wrestling with Wrestling. That's it. Bye, and thanks for listening.